Greetings, Sleeper. Esper here. I got a chance to get into the beta this weekend as soon as the servers went up on Friday and spend some time in there.
Bruh.
So you could say I got some time to look around. I got to try out the combat, PvP, experience the story, build bases, and we even got to go beyond the wall. After I created my character, I was greeted with a throwback scene from the movie. This gave me a nice little taste of being Timothée Chalamet, even though I know my character is not the Lisan al-Gaib.
You have one task. Find the Fremen.
And then I was sent on a slaver ship to Arrakis to find the Fremen. Zantara, who is most definitely working with the Bene Gesserit somehow, knew to shoot me down and spare me. After I crashed, I woke up in a siege with the corpse of a Fremen and took his Frem kit.
The Frem kit!
When I emerged, Zantara had a plan for me to go down and set off a beacon to summon down the Chom mercenaries and Sardaukar who had slaughtered his friends. The game did a great job at throwing me into the search for the Fremen. The story immediately had me asking questions about what was going on in the world around me. With the Chom mercenaries on their way, Zantara sprung into action. After blasting the other ornithopters out of the sky, he fought in typical Dune style,
May thy knife chip and shatter.
where he gets wounded before he takes out his foe. I had to pilot the ornithopter as we flew away. Being chased by Chom mercenaries, I flew into the Coriolis storm to lose them. And this is where the game really took off. I had a blast while flying over the dunes in my sandbike, using my Holtzman tech to explore Arrakis freely, and managing my stamina in combat to fight off the scavengers and rebels, all while avoiding the Sardaukar mercenaries and sandworms. The adventure had me searching for the Fremen and remembering their ways, and had me asking myself at times, am I the Lisan al-Gaib? Even though I had hours of fun exploring the vast world of Arrakis and trying out the combat and its many skills and techniques, Dune Awakening is not without its flaws. One of the first bugs we ran into was invisible players. It was actually quite funny to watch my friend through his stream be driven around on a bike by someone who wasn't even there. It definitely lessens the experience when you can't see your friends, and these are players who were on the same server on the same siege. These weren't people who were visiting each other, so this makes me worried when we go into the deep desert with a large server meshed map, whether players are actually going to be able to see each other or if someone invisible is going to be killing you and getting you frustrated. The next one I like to call the combat interference bug. This one, anytime or sometimes when I tried to throw down a deployable or use a skill, it would randomly just stop letting me use my guns. I couldn't shoot them, I couldn't reload them. There were times where I couldn't use my melee weapons, there were times where I could use my melee weapon but it wouldn't let me parry, and other times where it wouldn't let me use anything on my hotbar at all. So this one was really frustrating. I died the first time in the game experiencing this bug, and it took me out of it. The immersion that I had where I was sucked into the game was immediately gone, where I got frustrated that I died to something that wasn't my fault in a survival game and I had to relog to fix it. This didn't happen all the time, and it probably happened to me a couple dozen times while playing. There was one time where I was running a dungeon where it happened 5 times in a row, and relogging and logging back in that dungeon became very tedious. This was by far the worst bug that I experienced while playing Dune Awakening, and if this is still in the game come launch, I will be taking my time going through the story and the PvE content, because there's no sense in getting to the deep desert where I've got a PvP and be getting frustrated because my skills or my guns won't work. Next up was the spice blooms. This happened to me twice, where I would see a spice bloom erupt out of the sand and then I would go try and harvest it. It wouldn't let me harvest it, and then it would instantly summon the worm and disappear. When I would start running away from it, the spice bloom would then erupt again, and then right after that it would either get swallowed by a sandworm or just disappear. When I went out to go look for it again, it wasn't there in the area where I just saw a giant plume go hundreds of meters into the sky. So I don't know about this one. This one just left me more dumbfounded than anything. Next up was an aiming glitch. It was more visual than anything. It looked like I was shooting off to the left side of my screen, but my bullets would still go to where my cursor was pointed. This one was really just kind of funny. It didn't really affect you too much. I think I switched some weapons and used a skill to get rid of it, and another time when it happened to me, I just relogged and cleared it out. And that's it for the bugs, which I felt was pretty good, but I come from Star Citizen where the game is a bug, so this may be something that turns you off. This isn't really a big deal to me, and we'll see how much of it they fix come live. Now, there's some other things that weren't necessarily bugs, but were suggestions that I feel could make the game a whole lot better. First up is the chat UI. As far as I could tell, in the hotkeys, there was no way to hide this. If you found a way inside the settings or somewhere to hide your chat, please let me know in the comments below. But going through here, there was no way to set it up so that I could just see party chat, or I could just follow guild and party chat, or just shut off the local chat altogether. As someone who makes videos, if I don't want their chat to be popping up on my screen, I should have the option to just shut the whole thing off. I also couldn't find a hide UI button, just something as simple as hitting an F12 and making the UI go away so that I could get better pictures or videos of the content, just to show off how pretty the game is in some of the places I think would really benefit them. If you guys know where there was a hide UI button in the settings anywhere, please let me know in the comments below. One of the things I didn't really care for was their key item setup. The way that they have it is you could still pick them up even if you had one in your inventory or if you had already completed the quest. So these items would just pile up in your inventory. They wouldn't actually take an item slot, but they would add another one to your inventory. So you would just get all these duplicates that you couldn't get rid of or stick into a storage chest. So they need to figure out some sort of system to minimize the clutter in your inventory from these key items, especially when you've already done the quest. Another was the constellation chest rotations. Every 45 minutes these would respawn, giving you a unique schematic. Some of these were in dungeons and some of them were in the open world, so there's not an easy fix for it. Making people leave the dungeon and come back to loot the chest again doesn't really work because they could just sit at a chest in the open world. Some of these would give MK3 schematics, so I would just take an alt, sit it there, and take advantage of the system while you can. My biggest pet peeve was the vehicle skills. There was no way to change the hotkeys for these, so they were different than your skills are when you're on foot, which made it a complete pain in the ass to try and push Q and use WASD to steer around when you're on your sand bike or your ornithopter and you're trying to get that boost in. If they're going to do it this way, they need to make it default on your X key, which is your last default skill key, so that way you can use your thumb to boost while you're still rolling around on WASD. I think this is just a bad design choice, and it's easy to look over when you're making a game that is cross-platform. You might not think of the PC controls when you're also thinking about the controller controls. Overall, I enjoyed my beta experience. I look forward to getting back into the game during the head start, continuing my search for the Fremen, trying out more of the PvP mechanics with a fully built skill tree, and just diving into the game. I managed to complete a lot of things while I was in the beta, and then I even did some speedruns for the classes that I wanted to try out. I got beyond the wall and was able to explore more of the map than we were supposed to, which I'm going to make a video of for my next video. So if you want to see that and more Dune Awakening content such as guides and story videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now, one of my favorite quotes from R.A. Salvatore is, "If you want people to care about your world, give them a world worth saving." And Funcom managed to do just that with Dune Awakening and the world of Arrakis. I'll catch you in the next one, and as always, fly low and fly fast. Esper out.